10 years ago, roughly half of Indiana's college graduates remained in the state upon graduation. This number was even lower for STEM degrees, as many of these students found opportunities and offers in major tech hubs. It was in the face of this problem that TechPoint launched the Extern program, a 10-week internship program that employs hundreds of college students in roles at local tech companies. In this circuit mini-series, 10 Years of Talent, TechPoint interviews the major players in Indiana's tech landscape. From talent organizations to the people who were there at the beginning of Extern, we look back at the past decade of Indiana's talent initiative and look towards the future of Indiana's tech workforce. Well, Julie and Elisabeth, thanks so much for sitting down with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So for those folks that are not yet familiar with the IEDC, will you start just by telling us a little bit about what you do and what the mission overall is?
IEDC is the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, and economic development is ultimately about community well-being through economic health. So we have the unique position of being able to use entrepreneurship as our tool for increasing economic health and community well-being. And so that's part of the 5E strategy that Secretary Brad Chambers put forward.
Awesome. Well, we're so glad that you're doing that really important work and feel very lucky to be in partnership with you as we do that, which, speaking of partnerships, obviously we just announced a new partnership with you all to support early stage startups with the Extern program. So we'd love to have you talk about the origins of the idea, where it came from, and why Extern's a good vehicle right now to do this work.
Sure. So this summer I was blessed to have the opportunity to be part of the IEDC's Hoosier Economic Fellowship program as the Entrepreneurial Ecosystems Fellow. And as part of the program, the Secretary Chambers charged us with the question, what would make you want to stay in Indiana after graduation? Focusing on talent retention, keeping our students here even after they graduate. So as we were thinking about this, myself and the Small Business Development Center fellow, Josh Eckerman, we were brainstorming what are the really essential factors that make people decide where they want to live, where they want to work. The first is quality jobs. The second is quality of place, and then community. And then we also recognize the growing entrepreneurial spirit in our generation, in our peers, and so really wanted to capitalize on that as well, and thinking about how do we keep students here. So through the research that we did, we came across Extern. You all are already doing amazing in the job category of providing quality internships that often lead to jobs or create connections that lead to jobs. The community engagement of taking them to see football games or baseball games and showing Indiana as a really quality place to live. And then fostering that community among the interns, and also that they can create that community at the places that they work. So you all are already doing so many things well, and then we saw an opportunity to bring in more of the entrepreneurial side, to make Extern a venue for entrepreneurially minded students to gain exposure to the startup world. What is it like to be an entrepreneur and to own a small business, work for a small business, and then also helping support our youngest companies and helping them gain access to that young talent.
When we think about this Extern partnership, there's obviously lots of different types of companies that the program could support, mid-size, large-size employers, but there's something really compelling about startups, and I'd love to have you speak more about that and why the purpose of this initiative will focus on that.
Yeah. Well, we're really excited to work with you because of the success of this program. And we want to increase the program's access to the program for young companies. And the reason for that is because we have new data showing that it's young companies under 5 years of age, that drive net job creation. It's a new way to look at economic flourishing and look at companies by age rather than sector size. But the thing is, with young companies, when you're just starting out, you often can't afford to get access to the talent that you want. So we'd like to close that gap.
Yeah.
So we'd like to close the gap for our youngest companies that want the talent that we have here, but can't necessarily afford access to it.
Yeah, I'm so excited by that concept. And I think as in talking with you all, as we poured over our historical data with the program, we found that was exactly the gap we've been seeing. And so I think the opportunities that will be open for both employers and students because of this funding will be tremendous. What do you think success looks like in the first year of the partnership?
So in this first year, we hope to bring in 50 externs and match them with 50 startups.
Awesome.
So that's goal number one. Goal number two would just to make the program, like Julie said, more accessible for startups, make it more feasible for them to gain access to this young talent. And then ultimately, we would hope to retain the talent, right?
Absolutely.
Of externs in Indiana, help them see that Indiana is a wonderful place to work, a wonderful place to live, and gain exposure to all of the wonderful things we have going with entrepreneurship here, with the Secretary's priority and the future that they have here.
Awesome. Okay, Julie, so if you could wave your magic wand and bring in all of the perfect employers who fit this new initiative, what would those look like for you?
Okay, these companies are probably 2 or 3 years old. Yeah. Maybe they have 2, 3, 4, 5 employees. They're in a subsector that we would consider an economy of tomorrow subsector. So maybe it's Industry 4.0. Maybe it's, I'm thinking of Cupros, which is a company down near Bloomington, which is innovating in the copper space, in conductivity, in the way copper is used. So that would be an ideal company. Another one might be Qualify, with the way they think about interviewing and making the interviewing process more effective. So companies that are maybe 2 or 3 years old and are looking for interns.
Awesome. So when you think about students working for startups, what unique opportunities do you think will be available for them?
Gosh, well, I think for students like myself who have entrepreneurial aspirations, working for a startup is a perfect training ground for one day, owning your own company, starting that process and going through what it looks like to go from an idea stage to that first paying customer, and living and breathing that, I think, is so valuable.
Yes, I can confirm that. As employee number 1 at a tech startup, I learned that you have to wear all the hats. And it's an incredible way to learn, especially if you have aspirations of starting your own company one day.
Yeah, awesome. It'll be a cool journey for the students that are involved, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Well said. Elisabeth, this is so cool because I think your unique role in this whole initiative and the story of you currently being an intern, supporting an intern program is I'll never get over how cool that is overall. And after your experience and the work that you did this summer and the different initiatives that you looked at as a college student, thinking about your future opportunities, what do you think is really important for the state to keep in mind, and what are other initiatives that we should be supporting?
Sure. Well, I think number one, being an intern and having such a great experience at the IEDC, having an internship that provides real experience being in the professional world is so valuable. The more similar that an internship experience is to actually working in the real world, the more prepared that we are going to be. Yeah. So that's number one. Number two that I thought of was mentorship. Having the opportunity to interact with professionals who are a few steps ahead, who are established in their careers and who have been through the process of figuring out what they want to do, where they want to be, and the things that helped them get there. And really talking with them has been really incredibly helpful for me in figuring out the path of my own life. And so if more people can be open to that mentorship opportunity of being available to us students, I think that's really valuable. And then lastly, showing us what it is like to be part of any given ecosystem. So in working with the IEDC this summer, I learned so much about different professional and personal opportunities in Indiana that I never would have known about had I not been exposed to those. And even as a born and raised Hoosier, knowing about those things made Indiana a much more attractive place for me to one day work and live. So I would say quality internships, mentorship, and ecosystem information is really, really key.
I think those are excellent points and a good reminder of how much we need to be communicating to our college students about the opportunities. There's a lot going on in the state, and a lot of it's about getting the message out there. So it's awesome. Well, as we look to the next 10 years of talent growth in innovation and entrepreneurship space, what do you all see as the biggest opportunities for our state and for the growth? And particularly what's on the horizon in that space for the IEDC?
Yeah. Well, we know there's a lot of change in the economy of the future. Yeah. So as industries change, as new industry subsectors arise, we realize that the pace of change is increasing. So what that means is the entrepreneurial mindset, seeing problems as opportunities to solve, that's key. And the way that works out with that net new job data is that perhaps the junior of today will be in a job that is not in existence yet. How do you train up for a job that doesn't exist yet, but it'll be the job you have in 3 years? That's a quandary, right? So having the entrepreneurial mindset, realizing that mentorship is a key part, it's going to be important for our short game, but it's also going to be important for our long game in terms of economic health.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, it's an exciting future on the horizon. And I know with all the different work that's happening in the state and all the unique partnerships that are taking place, hopefully ours will be a great example of that as we go forward. So thanks for coming to talk with us today.